All right, welcome back to another news video, everybody. We're going to be running down all of the most important news events this week so that you can stay up to date with all of the newest numbers and information so that you can keep up with everything going on in the market. So already today, we had Swiss CPI numbers come out higher than expected, forecasted at 0.5%, but actually came out at 0.6%. Moving on to Tuesday. Tuesday's going to be a big day because we have US CPI numbers. So we're going to get new US inflation rate data. The Fed is going to give us that at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So that'll be a big event. I'll remind you that you can watch us cover the spike live. We will be live streaming during the news event right here on the A1 Trading YouTube channel. So you can find us live for the event tomorrow. Again, that's going to be CPI numbers, inflation numbers expected to drop down to 6.2%. So we will see what Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve have in store for us. Speaking of CPI, we also have UK CPI coming out on Wednesday, expected to drop slightly down to 10.3%. And on Wednesday, we also have US retail sales. Also on Wednesday is probably going to be the busiest news day of the week. We have Australian unemployment rate coming out at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time over here in the US. The unemployment rate expected to remain the same at 3.5%, but we will see what impact that has on the Australian dollar. And finishing up on Thursday, we have US PPI numbers. Not a whole lot going on Friday, however. So quick little rundown of all the different events that we have going on this week that are sure to impact the market in some way, but let's go ahead and jump into the Edge Finder. Here we are on the Edge Finder taking a look at the watch list. But before we get to this, I want to go ahead and check out the market heat map and see how all of our assets are trending so far today. So up here at the top, we can see our biggest movers to the upside so far today are CAD JPY, the NASDAQ 100, NZD JPY, Aussie JPY, S&P 500, and CHF JPY. So looks like yen pairs are making a lot of moves in the market today. Let's check out our biggest movers to the downside.
Hey traders, would you like some help with technical analysis? Well, lucky for you, we're giving away a free technical analysis guide. That's right, completely free. It's an entire guide all around technical analysis. The guide includes subjects like support and resistance trading, MACD indicators, trend lines, candlestick pattern trading, RSI indicators, and much more. So make sure to click the link in the description, fill out that information, and we'll email you a technical analysis guide right away.
Euro CAD, JP225, USD CAD, GBP CAD, Euro NZD, and Euro AUD down here at the bottom. So yen pairs up here towards the top, and it looks like Euro and Canadian dollar pairs mostly down here at the bottom. Let's go into the watch list and take a look at our buy and sell biases. I'm going to remove the neutrals as well as any indices and commodities. And I mean, just like, look at that. Look how many buys and sells that we currently have in the Edge Finder. I'm going to remove the indices and commodities, like I said, just so that we can focus on our currency pairs. But still, that leaves us with a crazy amount of sells and a ton of strong sells as well. 6 strong sell scores in the Edge Finder. We have just 5 buys, but 2 of them are strong buys. So let's see, which pair do we want to break down today? I want to go with one of our strong buys or sells, and GBP USD looks like a nice one. It's actually our highest score out of all of these. We have 2 scores of +6 up here. We have some -6s, a -7, but GBP USD is our strongest score, if you will, with a score of -8. So let's check out GBP USD ahead of our US CPI report coming out tomorrow. So here we go, GBP USD. Like I mentioned, has a score of -8. COT data is a score of -2, and retail sentiment is a score of -1. We can get into those numbers right over here. So COT data, or institutional trader data, we are taking a look at what smart money traders are going long and short on. We can see right here that 64.74% long for the US dollar and 35.26% short on the US dollar. Here means that institutional traders are currently favored long on the US dollar, and we can see 62.81% short right here and 37.19% long. So institutional traders are favored short on the pound and long on the dollar. Retail sentiment, on the other hand, is actually 65% short and 35% long, giving us our one little blue box right here because retail traders are currently favored short on the pair as a whole. Our seasonality is a score of -1, and taking a look in the month of February over the last 10-year averages, we can see that this little dot right here is pretty much sitting right on that line, meaning that there's really not a whole lot of change, historically speaking, over the last 10 years. When we're taking a look at the month of February, this basically means that whatever price GBP USD comes in at in the month of February, historically speaking, it doesn't really change too much throughout the month of February, and that kind of seems to be the case so far this month as well. Our trend reading is a score of -2, and we can see that there has been some definite downward momentum over the past couple of days. Over the past 3 days, pretty much, February 10th to 13th, we've seen each day it drop a little bit more and more after staying a little bit stagnant over these past few days here, and price forecast predicts that it will continue to make some downward moves. Let's finish up with our fundamentals: GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, and interest rates right here, all scores of -1, meaning the US dollar is beating out the pound in all 4 of these fundamental metrics right here. So pound GDP growth 0% compared to US 2.9%, UK inflation 10.5% compared to US 6.5%, the UK's unemployment 3.7% compared to 3.4% in the US, and lastly, UK interest rates 4% compared to 4.75 here in the US. So there we go, quick breakdown of our strongest sell bias in the Edge Finder right now, GBP USD.
As Chandler was mentioning at the beginning of the stream, a lot of bearishness across the board on a lot of GBP pairs and especially USD pairs. This is really interesting information because now what we can see is basically the pound against the Swiss franc, the pound against the New Zealand dollar, the pound against the US dollar. All of these have strong sell biases. And so going into this week, I have to be primarily on the sell biased side of something like GBP USD and the ones that we saw on the list there, GBP NZD, GBP CHF, etc. So as the pound potentially rallies here, as it pulls in to this 61.8%, if that level comes into play, I've mentioned that for the last couple of days, a retest of that zone would be, in my view, a bearish opportunity. And this is really kind of a daily chart setup, really, if anything. It's a bit higher time frame. A pullback into that 61.8% retracement, looking for an overall continuation of what we saw start to be a break to the downside, right? You had this upward momentum on the pound that fell apart. Big red candles came in here, shot us to the downside. Now, any retest, like I said, we've been primarily hunting for sell side opportunities on the pound. That's my take on it. That's my opinion on the matter for now. One thing that I think you should at least consider if you're going to be going long the pound is, respecting these zones we've got marked. Because look what happened with the pound. And Frank and I had talked about this on a recent video. We talked about the fact that, the pound kind of fell apart. It really lost its bullish structure here on this red candle, followed through, just giving us even more, sellers are in control confirmation kind of thing. And so if price does rally, if we get a bigger push up into that 61.8% retracement, to me, that's a sell zone. And if I'm wrong, which there's always the possibility that I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, right, the plan would be to probably stop out above market structure. So price, let's say, rallies up into this zone. If it falls, look to trail stops, manage position. As you guys know, you'll see me do often on the streams and in my content. But if it doesn't work out, right, bailing point would be above 1.23 in my opinion. One more trade I'll show you guys. We'll go back to take a look at my USD JPY trade just to show you how that's doing. We're at $1,750. So far, a pretty good runner there. We initially risked $1,000 on the trade. We've now locked in a profit of $626 on this account. So that's a pretty good spot to be in. We'll see if that, again, key thing we're watching for is a break above previous highs here on dollar yen. I would love to see it get above 133 before I even look to trail stops further. So that's kind of where I'm at with this position. Comment, what are you guys looking at? Let me know in the chat. Which charts are you looking at? Hi, Nick, I'm an Edge Finder user. What happened to the previous market heat map? We just simplified it. We made it into 2 different charts. You've got a score chart page and you've got a market heat map page now. So we've just gone ahead and made that a little bit simpler. We had a lot of questions about that, so we just adjusted it a bit. Anand says, what does the trend reading on Edge Finder represent? It goes from -2 to +2. As simple as that. If it's trending well, it gets a positive score. For example, if it is, we can use our simple indicators. If it's trending well like this would be a +2, right? If it's trending to the negative, that would be a -2, right? If it's downward trending. If it's mixed, it'll get you somewhere in between. You can read the calculations on the Edge Finder help page if you would like to get scoring on that. But yeah, really, really simple concept there. Euro dollar, Aussie dollar, gold. Okay, you guys are looking at all sorts of stuff. Let's bring in Frank here for a moment and see what he has got for us. Whenever Frank is ready. Hey, Frank, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. You're becoming a regular on the stream, and everyone is always. I'm getting comments all the time, like, "Hey, what's Frank think on this? What's Frank doing on that?" So it's good to have you contributing. What are you looking at today,
Well,
Frank?
right now I don't really know what I think about anything, but I'm looking at S&P as usual. I'm still just as confused though. I shared my screen so you can see what I'm looking at, but
Yeah, we can see it.
you know, so recently we've just seen like a lot of back and forth between dollar and stocks, so it's hard to tell. Sometimes they go up together and go down together, so maybe it's not always about, being opposites and taking
Yeah.
those inverse trades. So I don't know. I see bullishness here with like rejection from Friday, and now it's looking like the same kind of behavior. So I might want to pick up some S&P. But then again, I look over at the dollar and it's doing something similar. You can see there's some rejection off the this falling trend line, which is kind of interesting because earlier it was just about to break. So it's just a lot of just, you know, crazy behavior. And this one, if you've seen, we talked about Swiss yen this morning, but I also want to maybe get a pullback in on this.
Yeah, Swiss yen,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. And kind of a weird one, Frank, just that concept of dollar bullish, but also S&P bullish, which is again, it's a rare scenario, but it can happen. I think it can be pretty blindsiding for people when it does occur, but you sort of have to be prepared for anything. Trends can exist in two places at the same time that can be a bit confusing. But yeah, so go back. So what were you saying about Swiss yen? You like Swiss yen on the long side?
Yeah, so I wanted to get this breakout, and I didn't really think it was coming, and then I completely like missed it on Friday. I saw that huge rejection, and I was like, I don't know. And then the Edge Finder was ranking it as like a strong buy too, and I was like, well, maybe I'll just wait and see. And then I I wake up this morning and it's broken up way past the highs of like the last week. So
Yeah, and
very,
just to go off what you're saying about the Edge Finder, I've got the screen pulled up. If we can switch over, you can see Swiss yen. They can see my screen now, which has a +6, like you're mentioning. Uh, Sort of a really strong buy rating overall. It's got trend and all of the economic numbers, Frank. Very interesting that in terms of comparing Switzerland to Japan, in all four categories, Switzerland has the favorite. So you've got higher GDP growth in Switzerland. You've got better inflation numbers, better unemployment numbers, and a higher interest rate offered by the Swiss National Bank. So, I would generally agree with that trade. If it can pull back there, I like Swiss yen long as well. So, um,
yeah.
I would agree with that trade. And yeah, that's cool. So far, ideas are potentially looking for longs on S&P and Swiss yen. Is that kind of the overall watch list for you today?
And possibly the dollar. I mean, I know you're in UJ,
Yep.
but you got in that pretty early. I've I've just been looking around and looking for setups on the dollar as well. So
Yeah, and we'll have to watch to see this week. We might get some pullbacks on stuff. I also really wanted that euro dollar short, didn't get it, but was able to catch UJ mostly just because we had some Bank of Japan there was a bit of like volatility due to that, which threw the price lower, very temporarily, which was kind of the fortunate way I was able to get in on that volatility there. So we'll see if some of the other dollar crosses pull back here to give us some more entries this week. But I think we're both primarily on the long side of that for now. So,
right.
Frank, thank you for tuning into the stream as always. You guys know where you can find Frank. If you're in the Discord, say hello to him, send him a DM sometime. And Frank, we'll see you back next time. Thanks for coming on.
Make sure you guys check out the links in the description if you need broker recommendations, access to our free Discord, or want to chat with us on Telegram. If you're interested in our trading software, the Edge Finder, you can find that in the description as well. Thanks for watching.